Carlo Ancelotti has left his role as manager of Everton Football Club to join Real Madrid.
Not again. We've been had off again.
I thought when Carlo Ancelotti left Everton, shocked.
We've got the breaking news that Rafa Benitez has been appointed Everton manager. Rafa Benitez got off to an absolutely fantastic start with wins against Southampton, Brighton and Burnley.
It wasn't a decent start, it was just teams I expected to beat and that every Everton fan would expect to beat.
Defeats started to occur, including a crushing 5-2 home defeat by Watford, and continued through to a hammering in the Merseyside derby.
Can't believe what I've just watched there, what I've just witnessed at Goodison Park.
They were dark weeks then, because again, Dominic Calvert-Lewin hadn't come back from injury. There was no sign of it, and we weren't hearing anything from the club, and it was a really tough time. You know, autumn going into winter was really tough for the club.
I think I'd been away, had a whole fight camp, won the fight, came back, kept coming to these games thinking, can finally have a bevy, can finally eat a pie or a roll over hot dog, and we were just waiting for that moment, weren't we?
After the first couple of games, you kind of, it doesn't really register with you, especially with the draw against Manchester United, for example, just before that international break, a draw that could have easily been a win. You know, it's easy to forget, you know, there was that chance, well, that disallowed goal from Yerry Mina, wasn't there? And, you know, the debate over whether Tom Davies should have shot it, for example. You know, there were some moments like that where you thought, oh, well, if that had gone differently, then it would have been fine. But yeah, results just kept getting worse and worse. I think, you know, the Watford game in that period is one that particularly stands out, isn't it? You know, weirdly, the last time that Farhad Moshiri was seen at Goodison Park was that Watford game. Apparently, he missed the first 20 minutes of that game as well. So he sort of 5-1 loss rather than the 5-2 that everybody else saw. But you know, I think that was the first real time where I was thinking to myself, that was really bad. And then you as I say, they just kind of kept getting worse from that point on.
It was embarrassing at the time for us as fans and as a club, because we really couldn't see the next win from anywhere, and the heat started to get hotter on Rafa Benitez, and the fans started to lose more and more patience, and his job was looking a lot harder than it was at the start of the season. And yeah, and the fans obviously clearly frustrated with Rafa Benitez as well.
At the start of December, fans were getting restless and the 27 campaign was launched. It coincided with a home game against Arsenal that Everton must win. But fans were set to walk out the ground.
I think when the 27 campaign started up, I think we all know many of the people, and they're all proper Evertonians. But for me, particularly that game against Arsenal, the thought that true blue Evertonians would walk out the stadium during a game that was so important, I just couldn't embrace that at all. And I think the campaign itself, I think they reflected on that and thought, you know, actually that might be right.
I think it was a great idea. I think it still is a great idea. I understand the criticism of it because of the situation we were in at the time. And there was very much a mix of us, I think the majority of Evertonians feeling like we were really in trouble, and therefore almost agreeing with the campaign, but sort of not agreeing with the way in which things were done at the time in which they were done.
Things were getting really bad, and a lot of fans got together and started the 27 campaign, which was in protest to it being 27 years that since Everton had won a trophy. And it culminated around the Arsenal game. He'd just been hammered in the derby, 4-1 the week before, and fans decided to show their concern by walking out in the 27th minute. And you know, I think fans are frustrated and felt they had to do something. Not everybody agreed with it, but they had to show their disapproval. Everton go on and win the game. You know, Damari Gray scores an injury time winner, which was incredible. Our first win since September. And that kind of culminated alongside that campaign. Meant that the hierarchy knew that the fan base weren't happy. And that win, as good as it wasn't going to paper over what was going wrong. And, you know, Marcel Brands had left the club as well. In the outfall of the Merseyside derby. So there was a lot of turmoil at Everton. A lot of turmoil at Everton at that time.
I mean, good on the 27 campaign for trying to sort the board out, because the board isn't good enough. Changes do need to be made from the highest level right through the club. You know, we've got this like thing that we look after, like ex-players and all stuff like that, and that's down to one person at the football club.
I chose not to leave my seat on the 27th minute because it just wasn't... You can understand the thought process behind it, and I commend the fans who felt the need to do that, because that was their way. My way was just a little bit different. From being an athlete, I just know like a negative approach probably isn't always the best for athletes, when you can feel and see that they were shitting themselves every time they played. No one wanted to touch the ball because everyone was on them straight away. But I do believe the 27 campaign was what brought around the big change.
Boss to see. I mean, like, never in a million years did I think there'd be a coach welcome at Goodison Park ever in my life.
The fans found the voice again, and I just remember sitting there with a little smile on my face thinking, I hate Chelsea, hate them. And I was just thinking, well, in Frankfurt.
I don't think anybody could have really expected just how massive that coach welcome was. I wasn't expecting, certainly when I got to the ground, you know, about an hour before the coach turned up, I wasn't expecting the amount of people that were going to be there.